Hello, 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 you guys. Welcome to another episode of Be Victorious. Now, listen here. Y'all know my heart goes out to anybody from Kansas City because you all don't understand. What you all see right now is the Chiefs doing their thing, but you don't understand the struggles that we had to experience just by being raised in Kansas City. This young man is a hero to me because not only did he experience some things, but he is really definitely doing something about it. Clinton, where are you? Thank you so much for joining my
Oh,
podcast.
no
Your
problem, no problem.
story is so amazing. And so I have to have you here because not only do you know that Black men are struggling right now.
That's
Mental
true.
health is an illness, but you are doing that something about it. So before we begin, what's your ACEs score?
Well, I don't know. I didn't really pay attention to that. I want to say maybe 13 or 14.
And that's where you're wrong. You should have took that ACEs
I
quiz.
did take it. I took it earlier, but I didn't pay attention to the point system.
Got it. Okay, that's fine. So
All
you
right.
say 13 to 14, you think you hot.
And well, I mean, as I looked at the questions and I was like, okay, well, I know some people, well, when that time comes, we'll talk about it, but I
That's
did
what
answer it. I
I'm
just
saying.
didn't understand the point part because I looked at it probably like an hour ago, and then I clicked it and sent it to you.
And I have it, and I haven't had a chance to look at it to tell you your ACEs score. But I will tell you if you were checking off your
So,
points.
so I was reading that, and I know you said something about ACE, and I should know something about ACE. My definition of ACE may be different than your definition of ACE,
So
but
let's talk about your definition of
well, I
ACE.
mean, from where I come from, I'm just saying it was called adult continuing education for the
Mm,
ACE, and
okay.
there was some people that was trying to rehabilitate themselves in prison, and you want to educate yourself so you can live that legal life. We took these type of classes to teach us how to invest in real estate, to change our mindset, invest in the stock market, learn carpentry, welding, and all that. So that's what I was assuming. That's what it was. But
Really? Now,
yes,
this is a great point because that's ACEs to you. And
yes,
I get that because what you just mentioned is that you were incarcerated.
yes, I was.
So, would you like to share what happened?
Almost definitely. Yes, I was, in my environment of growing up. Like you said, Kansas City, a lot of people don't know about Kansas City, nicknamed Killer City, which, I'm not something to be proud of, but
Not at all.
even though it's not a real big population, it's the second biggest city in the state of Missouri.
Mhm.
But I think as far as any environment, any city that you in, everybody is brought up in these like environments where we live below poverty,
Mm.
put it that way. And unless you was raised in a two parent household, there were struggles back in the 80s and 90s.
Mhm.
So, like for instance, I was raised by a single mother. Even though I had a father, he just wasn't a part of my life. Because me, my brothers, we all had different fathers.
Mm.
But growing up, the one things that I didn't have in life, the things that I didn't really pay attention to as I got older, was I didn't have the material things. And that's what
Mm.
kind of lead me to going down the path that I had went down, which led me to incarceration because I sold drugs. I
Mm.
ended up doing 15 years in federal prison for selling drugs. But
Wow.
yes, yes. And
And this is where you found your ACEs. Yeah.
yes, that's where I found my ace because I had to change the way I thought. If I didn't change the way I thought, I was gonna come right back out and live the same lifestyle I lived before I went to prison. Because actually I did two federal bids. My first one I did from the age of 18 to 22.
Wow.
But my mindset was being around these type of people that I looked up to, which is not something. See, that's another thing. Especially for a male, if we
Mhm.
don't have a positive male role model in our life,
Mhm.
we will gravitate to the type of people that we look up to when we see the things that they have, and I'm like, oh, I wish I had those. So I start, idolizing these type of people. But
Wow.
what happened was when I did my first federal bid, I was around all these big time drug dealers, not paying attention to their time. I just said, okay, they had it. I'm going out to get it. So I don't care none of the consequences.
Mm.
And the consequences, I end up in prison again. But
Wow.
what happened was I had to change my mindset, or I was coming back out here to doing the same thing.
Mhm.
And that's
And
when I started
ACE
educating. Say that?
is what ACE is what changed your
Right.
life.
I had to
So
stop watching BET. I had to stop watching TV.
mhm.
And I had to stop going to the poker tables or going to the card tables to play cards. I had to start going to them classrooms.
Yep. And education is
Yeah,
key. So you
right.
said, what were the things that you did in ACE to help you change your mindset?
Well, I used to always think about my friends I grew up with
Mm,
that never did nothing illegal. And I
mm,
was when I was seeing how they was living their life. And I
right,
said, well, if they did it, if they're doing it, I know I could get out here and do it too. So what I did was I had to find out a trade. I just had to learn something because all I ever did growing up was play sports and sold drugs.
mm,
So I said, okay, let me learn how to do carpentry work.
right,
You know, I had to learn how to do that first. Then I said, okay, let me learn how to weld. You know, I would put myself in these, I was just signing up for classes. Even though I didn't know nothing, I had to get out of my comfort zone and I had to get uncomfortable. I
mhm,
had to start teaching myself. So, and you know, one thing about especially kids and Black kids, we don't like, if we don't have, we had to really focus because
mhm.
we can get sidetracked real easy, you
It's
know,
called
and
it's called ADHD.
yeah, I didn't want to say the wrong thing, but that was on my mind. ADHD. I don't want to say ADHD. You know what I'm saying? But
Right,
ADHD.
right.
So I had to, and that's one thing about me is that I can't have no distraction when I'm trying to learn something. I had to
Mhm.
dial in, so I had to separate myself, go into my two-man cell the size of a bathroom.
Ooh.
When my cellie was somewhere else, and I just had to start reading,
Mhm.
you know, and I started taking like real estate classes, I took stock classes. I took even like they just teach you how to put yourself around positive, like-minded people. You know,
Right,
you'd be surprised that you have other inmates teaching these classes. You know, they might be teaching class so they can help their points get dropped so they can go to a lower security. But in reality, they was a blessing to people like me
right.
because the knowledge that they had, I didn't have no knowledge. So any knowledge they got, I was willing to write it down and take it and absorb it.
Like
So
a sponge.
yes, yes,
Because
yes.
you are doing your thing.
Yes,
Now, let me share. Yeah, we're from Kansas City,
that's
but
right.
you are here in Dallas.
And I love it.
Just so you all know, this was supposed to be my first live. So I really wanted to interview Clinton live, but life happens and we're
Right.
here. And the collaborations that you will see, because we will be collaborating more, you all will get to see that because he's actually here in Dallas.
Yes, most
I'm
definitely.
excited. I've seen all of the work that you've done through Monster Fitness. So
Yes.
tell us about Monster Fitness.
Well, you know, so the reason why I came up with the name Monster Fitness was because that was the name that I went by most of my life doing illegal things. But,
Okay.
you know, so I tried to change the name. Then someone said, well, no, you got to continue to use that name, but just use it in a positive, constructive way. And
Right.
I said, okay, you're right. Because for me, fitness and wellness is very important. And I
Mhm.
live by, I'm 48 years old, going to be 49. And I'm just saying if I could continue to do me as far as taking care of myself through the Lord's blessing, I could possibly help him stay on this earth a little longer.
Mhm.
Now, if I kept other people, which I have no problem helping people out, you know, I do boot camp classes, I do one-on-one sessions, I meet people, I have no problem traveling to people, but I just love giving back because someone gave to me and I have another opportunity out here to live my life the right way. And so I look forward to getting up, going out to help people. I look forward to getting up, going to work. You know, I don't ever say, oh, dang, I got to go to work. I'm ready to go to work every morning. You know, I'm ready to get out here and help someone. If they need someone help to motivate them, because sometimes when it comes to training or persons who's trying to reach their goals in the fitness, they need someone to hold them accountable. You
Right.
know, everybody don't have that inside will, what I call the it factor. That's
Mhm.
something that just drives to get them going, that they the first one up and the last one to go to bed, and they right back doing it again the next day. So they need someone to hold them accountable, someone to push them, and areas like that. Whether it's they might need someone to talk to about why they going through these things or why they can't get a jump start. That's what a lot of people don't understand, that trainers, we're like a person that we like a extra ear, or
Yes,
someone that could confine into, especially as long as you know how to draw that line with keeping everything professional.
right.
That's also one thing that I live by. You know.
You're amazing, which is the reason why you're here. And people need to understand that. Do you know? I understand you talked about, being 16, going to jail. Did you have parents?
Yes, I have parents. My father is dead. He passed away 2000, and it's crazy. He passed away 2012,
Mhm.
like in August one day. Then my granddaughter was born the next day. Out goes a life, in comes a life.
Wait a
But
minute, you said granddaughter?
yes, my granddaughter. Yes,
You have
Jada. Yeah.
children?
Yes, I have three kids. One, my oldest son, he's passed away when he got killed. And that's another thing that happened that was really the icing on the cake for me to change my ways, was when I lost my son, my oldest son, and he was my junior. And then I realized what happened. He was following my footsteps because he was hearing about how I was when I was out there, and he ended up going down that path and ended up getting robbed and killed. So that really put the icing on the cake for me. It's like, you still got a young son, you got to get out here and do right, so,
Right.
and including my granddaughter too as well.
Bless your heart.
Yes.
So let
Yes.
me bring it together, because even though your ACE is different than what we discussed, you're talking about ACEs. I want you to know that.
Okay.
Childhood traumas that you went through, the not having the father, having children early. How old were you when you had your first kid?
I had my daughter when I was 17.
Okay, teen,
Yes. 17. Yes.
teen. And
Yes.
then right when you had your daughter, you went to,
Prison.
so you
Yes.
spent majority of your life as a person of the prison system.
Yes. I'm 48. I gave him at least 22 years of my life. If I count the times I went back on a violation, just for stupid things, but yes.
Wow. And I want to know a lot more about Monster Fitness, because it's your ministry.
Yes, it
It's
is.
your testimony. It is what you're doing. I still want you. We're going to have to connect, because I have to tell you a lot more about that test that you took, so you can
Okay.
understand the correlation between that test and things that are happening now. Because what you may not understand is the things that you did in your childhood can affect you for real. So, like how
Right.
we talked about health, we talked about relationships, all
Yeah.
of this can encompass this test.
Yeah.
So once I do that, I would love for you to actually use this test as an introduction to the people that you are interacting with, so they can too become aware, and they can also be change agents and not go through what you experienced in your childhood.
Right.
Do
Yes.
you
I'm cool
have
with that.
do you have these mom? So mom was there. Is mom still here?
Yes, my mother's still alive.
Just so you know, when I was 17, I left Kansas City too. I did.
Right.
You you went to college, because you
Right.
got training. I went to college and got degrees. So let's
Right.
be clear, you guys. We're from Kansas City, but to make it out of Kansas City,
Yes.
the
It's
reason why
like,
I don't come back, that flight or fight, that's what we call it, the flight or fight syndrome. I'm heavy on that, which is
right.
landed me to Dallas, because when I tell people, oh, you're from Kansas City? Yeah, but you came from Chicago. I was in Chicago. So when you did your stunt where you was, I did mine in Chicago. And if you think about it, it was home for me, because the areas are the same.
Right. Right.
So I get it. I get it. But you doing what you're doing now is going to set the tone because
Yeah.
now you have your family members looking at you in the right direction.
Right.
You have
Can I
things
say
that
something?
you
So I
can.
did go over a couple of I do recall a couple of those questions on that ACE, if I'm not mistaken. And this is something that I just want to say right now. Like, so growing up, the one thing I failed to realize that I learned later on down in life is the one thing that we really don't pay attention to. Even though I didn't have the materialistic things, one thing I had was a lot of love because my grandparents was basically the ones who raised all of us, even though we had our mothers. And like my mother used drugs, my aunties and uncles and them used drugs too as well. But we always had our grandmother and them there that was that love support. And what I'm saying is that we was taught and we was given unconditionally love, but children don't understand that that's way more important than materialistic things. And when I sit back and look at these children nowadays, especially my youngest son, my granddaughter, and some of my cousins' children, they just don't understand how blessed they are today compared to it was when we was growing up. Because they walk around with $200 tennis shoes on. People was getting killed for those 20 and
And
30
I
years
tell
ago.
people all the time, standing on a corner, Nike Cortezes, they were
Right,
only $39. But that $39 was enough for people to come by our bus stops or while we
right.
were walking in school.
Yes,
Walking to school, are you serious? If you had a
yes,
nice pair of shoes by the
yes,
end of the day, which is
yes.
the reason why, and let me share with you, I advocate for ACEs because, especially now since the CDC has updated everything, things
Mhm.
like community violence is an ACE.
Okay,
Bullying is an ACE.
yes.
Mass shootings is.
It's an eight. Okay,
You understand what I'm saying? So that's the reason why I am like, okay, y'all, let's bring this discussion up. Because if we knew these things when we were growing up, then maybe our lives would be different, which is
right,
the reason why I had to make it. I left Kansas City at 17 too.
right, yes,
Do you understand what I'm saying? So we can make it real. This is what happened. Some people didn't get a chance to go to college, y'all. That's the reason why I'm like, I am history because that same school that you went to, shout out to Van Horn. All of my family went there.
I know.
But the person that did not was my brother. And my brother didn't because at that time he didn't know about ACEs. He didn't know about these things. He just dropped out.
Right,
So kudos to you for being
yes,
here, for being a blessing, for doing the things that you're doing now, because that is what, and you have that relationship with your grandchildren, with your
right,
kids. Thank you.
yes. Thank you.
I'm going to ask you another question.
No problem.
What do
Any
you think
question?
about I understand Monster Fitness is your thing. That's your extracurricular activity. That is what you do. That is who you interact with your clients. You do
Yes.
you need to do. What do you do for you? Like there's different things out there. You've seen the podcast. You've seen people talk about different therapies, things of that nature. What do you think about therapy?
I mean, I actually thought about it once or twice. I
Mhm.
asked myself, I mean, like, would it be a problem to sit down with someone? Because I know I hold a lot of things in because yes, I'm from Kansas City and you don't know me, but a lot of your people that you know who I am.
Right.
So, and my family was real big up there. And not only that, I lost a cousin that got robbed and killed in the game. I lost an uncle that got robbed and killed in the game. I lost a couple friends that got robbed and killed in the game. So those are things that I kind of like I think about because like for my uncle, my cousin, and my son, I kind of like I feel like if it wasn't for me bringing that lifestyle to them, it probably wouldn't have happened.
Right.
That's how I look at it because I'm still here and they're not,
Right.
but
Do you
that's
know who
something.
you are though? Do you know who you are though right now for real what you're doing? You're talking to me, so you're talking to somebody.
Right. One thing I do, I keep myself busy. So I guess that's my way of not really having time to think about things like that. Like I work out, hang out from time to time or do whatever, but I just stay busy,
Mhm.
and sometimes when I do think about it, I just be like, this is the real world we live in. And, when you play in that field, when you play in that game, that's just what comes with it. I hate that it happened to my people. That's something I guess when judgment day come, something I guess I just got to deal with when that time comes.
Right.
But, I thought about sitting down talking, but then I'm like, I don't
You
know.
don't have to. There's different, that's the thing. There's different types of therapy. What you're doing is therapy to people.
Right,
So let's be clear. It's not the push to sit down and talk. Understand there are different types of therapy out there. And let's
right,
be clear. What you are doing is extracurricular activity. It is a key to
right,
resiliency. If
right,
you notice, this is what the kids do before they go to, they have gym, yeah, but they work out. It helps them when they're in the field, when they're doing what they need to do. Or if somebody just want to blow off some steam, what they're doing is working out,
right,
or they go running. People are telling you if you need to do this or if you're feeling this way, walk 30 minutes or do this, which is the reason why I brought it up, because I don't want you to run from it at all. I
right,
know that what you're doing is helping other people. You just need to know that what you're doing is actually helping other people,
right, right.
including yourself.
Almost, yes, most definitely, and I say that too, as far as like, got to give back. I'm not looking to give nothing in return. I'm willing, there's been times actually when I didn't actually train people when it came to time when they didn't have the money, I didn't even trip off of because that was just my way of just giving back.
Mhm.
That's, we have to do some type of charity work. And I don't look at it in a bad way, because that's my passion.
Mhm.
Exercising is my passion because I grew up playing sports. So this is just a continuous long term of physical activity when it comes to sports and just staying in shape. That's just one of the key things for me. Like I said, I grew up, played football, basketball, ran track, baseball, did all that in high school. So
Guess what? And hear me out. When you are working with your clients, have they shared things that you've seen on that ACEs quiz with you?
I mean, yes, yes. I mean, we all have that similar background.
Mhm.
We
Mhm.
all have that. We all have that.
I want to get you ACEs educated. I do, because I know you're already changing lives, but and you're changing yours. Congratulations. Let's be
Thank
clear.
you, thank you.
I want you to have that education so when they do come to you, like I did, you can say, I think you might want to take this quiz. This quiz might answer a lot of questions for you.
Right,
Because again, it's not your fault that you weren't with your father. It's not your fault that your mom, you know what I mean? It's not your fault that your grandparents raised you. It's a normalcy. We've created it and made it normal. Whereas you're saying your grandparents raised you. I had grandfathers. I didn't have grandparents.
right,
Just imagine in Kansas City being raised by a grandfather or being
right.
raised by another grandfather who's a pastor.
Yeah, that's different.
Do you understand what I'm saying? But I
Yes,
still didn't have that grandmother. I still didn't have that nurturer. I still didn't have what I needed. We're talking about my mom and my dad didn't have their mothers. And that's the reason why their generational trauma is so heavy because of that.
right. Yes,
That's the reason why I'm excited to talk about people or talk with people from Kansas City, because now that community violence is considered an ACE, that's all of Kansas City.
that's all in Kansas City.
Guess
Yeah,
what? You have ACEs. And now that you know what ACEs are, it's just a number.
just a number.
Really
Okay.
wouldn't have mattered. I'm glad that you mentioned that you actually did see it. I'm glad that you said I checked several boxes. So for anybody that is listening right now, this episode here is that episode, because we need people like you to come out there and say, hey, this is what happened. but this is what I'm doing. So kudos to you and congratulations to you on what you're doing.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And
No,
kudos to you too.
seriously. Yeah, like let's be clear. I think once you get ACEs educated for real, then the impact that you're going to have on your clients is going to help them and it's actually going to help you because there are some things in your childhood that you haven't unboxed yet. It's just sitting there.
Almost
Because
definitely true.
in our community, it wasn't talked about mom being a crackhead.
Right. Yes.
That was just mama. But for me as an educator, I notice when it happens to my students. And so when these situations happen to my students, I can relate. And they gravitated toward me and were able to not be you.
Right.
Because I'm
Right.
telling you, I was in Chicago and to talk to the students that I talked to, they love me because I changed their life for real. They were the drug dealers.
Yeah. You went into a worse environment compared to Kansas City. Chicago.
Exactly. I did. And what's funny is I think the Lord brought me. I know for a fact that the Lord took me there. So I can say that I was able to handle Chicago based off of my environment in Kansas City. So don't
Right.
let it fool you, please. Y'all don't let the hair and the glasses, don't let it fool you. Trust
Right.
and believe me, I'm from Kansas City, Missouri.
Right. That's right. That's right.
Well, I get it. And I thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule today to
No
share the
problem.
story for me. So tell our listeners where they can find you.
Well, you could find me on social media, Instagram, Monster Fitness 75. One word, Monster Fitness 75, because I was born in year 75.
Okay.
And you could go on Facebook, and it's under Clinton Holman, Holman. But Monster Fitness, you could communicate with me. I post a lot of workout videos. I'm dealing with groups. I deal with fellas and women. Majority of my climbing is women, but hey, we all can have fun. We all can reach our fitness goals. And at the end of the day, be happy and feel good about yourself.
And I'm happy for you. I'm ready to link you with some of the resources that we have here,
Okay.
especially with the Boys and Girls Club, because I think that your impact will be amazing
I would
on.
love to do that. I would love to go sit down and talk to some children, even teach a class just for
Yes,
the fun of it. I would
yes.
love that.
And I appreciate you. You
Yes.
all know where to find me, though. I'm Dr. VicTORIEus everywhere. I wanted to say this before we end. You're Monster Fitness, and I'm Dr. VicTORIEus because I create victory in people just by their understanding and knowledge of the education that I teach. I wasn't given this name either. So when you said, well, that's the name that they gave you, Monster Fitness,
Yeah.
great.
I,
That's your
I
name.
create I create monsters in a good way in the
All
fitness where
right.
you're gonna be happy about your look and everything, how you feel about yourself and your appearance. You might be crying and mad at me at the end of the session, but you're gonna thank me later.
All right. And I like it. And you have to keep doing it, just like I have to keep doing the work that I'm doing. So, everybody, listen, follow Monster Fitness because he can help you. He's telling you he's posting workouts for those days you don't really feel. Go ahead and check them out. As for me, be victorious everywhere. Y'all know where to find me. Dr. VicTORIEus. Just put it in. The name is unique because Torie is really my name. So just so you all know, you can tune into any episode. I'm on YouTube. I am on all podcast platforms streaming. And we have another episode that is locked and loaded. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will talk to you guys later. Bye bye for now.
Bye bye.